Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's field tuning, which I am recording asynchronously, meaning that I don't have the typical live audience that I usually have because of different schedule commitments that I had today. However, I'm really grateful to be here recording and to still offer the weekly field tuning tune-ups that we're used to. The forecasting is still happening, okay? So today's Monday, January 29th, and this reading will be from Monday, January 29th to Sunday, February 4th. I cannot believe that we're already in February. My, how time flies. I am just shuffling the cards and just figured that I would record this week's pull live as I pull the cards, and I pray and I hope that these messages really align or support you with how you are aligning yourself, and I just want to thank y'all again for tuning in. So I'm shuffling the cards now. I spent a little bit of time grounding my channel after work, and I just want to know, Spirit, what messages do you have for us this week? How can you support us? What should we look out for? What should we keep in mind and in heart and in body so that we may have a successful week, whatever success looks like to you? I'm working with the Mother Peace Tarot mini round tarot deck, which has been my go-to. And then I also have the Angels and Ancestor Oracle cards with me. So pull an oracle card to ground this week's reading. Oh, we got cards jumping out already. I'm going to take those because they jumped out upright. Lovely. The first card that we have here is the Seven of Cups, which we talked about a little bit last week, which is really exciting. The next card that came out is the Five of Swords. Interesting. Seven of Cups and Five of Swords. So I'm going to pull a couple more cards to kind of fill out this reading. But already what I'm hearing is a movement from dreaming to application. We are this week. Oops, some more cards fell out. Feels like this week is going to be very important for moving into the application stage regarding some of your intentions, some of your goals, and some of the things that you may have had in mind for yourself. So the Seven of Cups is a card that represents a dreamy figure, a woman who's in her astral abode, or a person who's in their astral abode, really pouring out from the subconscious waters that they have access to, filling up their cup, filling up possibly other people's cups by just their visionary capacity, which is always like a very supportive place to be. But also in this tarot deck specifically, this card speaks to the balance between the Seven of Cups. That is the balance between dreaming, the balance between knowing when it's, the timing, right? So it's like a balance between when it's time to move from a dreaming state or an ideating state with a project, and when it's time to pour those waters out, which means setting the stage for right action to take place. So feels like Spirit is saying, also too, I'm hearing that if anybody who's listening to this has any astral rituals, first of all, share them. Don't gatekeep. Secondly, if you can, that is. Secondly, the beginning of this week might be par for the course for you to use those astral and those dream work tools, because we have the Five of Swords here. Ooh, hello. We have another set of cards that fell out, and I think that's all I'm going to take. Ashe. The Five of Swords to me represents a card, or represents the idea or the part of the journey, the part of the spiritual path where things are locked and loaded, for lack of better words. And so swords represents the mind element, the mental capacity that rests in each person. And to me, I'm going to read what the book says about the Five of Swords just to have clarity and before I start going off. But to me, the Five of Swords represents a lot. So in this book, it says the Five of Swords represents the sting, a bummer, result of a negative pattern. Interesting. So to me, this card represents, I feel like it's speaking to getting a hold and understanding, getting a hold on and understanding one's own negative mental patterns. Interesting, because like at first I was going into this reading being like, go for your goals, but I also feel like now that I have a better sense of the Seven of Cups in relation to the Five of Swords, it also, I feel like, speaks to a part of us and a part of each person that is on the journey that probably has peaked in a way, or realized all that you could, or learned or gathered as much subconscious information from either your ancestors, your guides, about how or why certain mental patterns are continuously looping in your mental subtle body, or in anyone's mental subtle body. It speaks to, I feel like the combination between the Seven of Cups and the Five of Swords to me speaks to, like being able to see with razor sharp clarity almost what are those things that are standing in your way, even if it's yourself. I don't know if y'all heard me almost like my wording almost got jumbled, but I'm like, it feels like this week is about clearing out, of course, the things that are standing in your way, because that's just my vibe. That's what field tuning is going to do, is just kind of show you and reflect to you the things that, and I hope to, right? Show you and reflect to you the things that are standing in your way for whatever success means to you. And so with the Five of Swords signaling negative mental patterns, I feel like Spirit's not saying take a look at your mental patterns, but Spirit might be encouraging us to continue doing the work that we're doing to help clear out our mental programs. So those are just the first two cards. The next card that came out is the Four of Swords, which I absolutely love. In this card is a picture of a figure who's inside of a pyramid-shaped apparatus, and that pyramid is held down by four different swords. The Four Swords. And in this pyramid, the figure is meditating, facing a specific direction in the pyramid, and their chakras, or their energy body, or the wheels of energy that they have access to, are kind of like lit up, and they're doing a lot of spiritual cultivation, basically. The Four of Swords is the card that speaks to, what's interesting, right? Because it's like we have the Five of Swords and then we have the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords speaks to exactly what I was kind of talking about, the work that it takes, the back of house work that it takes in order to cultivate a forward direction in anything that you want to not only contribute your creative energy to, but anything that you set your eyes on, in terms of whether it's mastery, whether, again, it's a goal, whether it's a relationship. The Four of Swords speaks to going in-house first and cultivating the space to just basically make room for the things that you actually desire in your life. And I personally have been doing a lot of that work. I meditate, like, this is not a brag, but I'm just kind of speaking to like my journey. Like, I meditate every day, and every single day I go in to meditate, I find something in my purview or in my subconscious arena, or something that comes up with my ancestors that I can work on. And so I feel like the reason why I said that is because the Four of Swords kind of points to the cycle of inner work being eternal, right? And it almost like this crescendo of cards, again, the numbers, y'all know I love numbers. The numbers are speaking to me because you first have the Five of Swords and then you have the Four of Swords. So it's almost like in this descending order, Spirit is kind of pointing us to an opportunity this week that's like, hey, the moment you start to see and you witness your mental patterns, try to fight the urge. Try to fight the habit of feeling disempowered. Try as best as you can to muster up enough strength for you to do something that actually brings you back to yourself. In other words, when you notice these mental patterns, try your hardest to not spiral in the direction they're pulling you towards. See if you can kind of draw that mental thread backwards, back into yourself, into a practice, into a meditation, into a self-love practice, whatever it is, whatever tool it is that strengthens your backbone in this spiritual walk. Find some time this week to make space for that practice. And if you can, don't just try to fit it in this week. Try to make it a habit. Because I feel like one thing that I've noticed on my journey is that there's a wellspring of gnosis that comes from the practice, in my opinion, of going within. And so even if it's not to undo mental patterns, the hygienics of just having a daily spiritual practice is it's unfucking matched. I'm sorry. I just have to say it. It's unfucking matched. So create a little bit of quiet time for yourself. Create a cozy corner in your house, a meditative corner in your house. Go to your altar and center yourself at some point this week. And even if you're not the type of person that, if you're the type of person that doesn't have that kind of built-in spiritual practice, this might be a good week to start one. Okay? So those are the first 3 cards: 7 of Cups, 5 of Swords, 4 of Swords. The next card that we have is the Shaman of Discs. And I'm going to read about this homie from the deck booklet, and we'll see what the message is here. All right. The Shaman of Discs represents being on the edge, long-range vision, strong sense of purpose and direction, and a person who is a magnificent healer. So I love that this card is the next card that came up, because I think Spirit is really drawing our attention this week to the power that we have within ourselves to heal ourselves. And that's instantly what I get from this Shaman of Discs card, especially considering the fact that it came after the 4 Swords. I think that Spirit is pointing our attention to the fact that there's a level of groundedness that you can surmount and connect to with your personal practice that can kind of create this unshakable, unfuckwittable vibe. If you know, you know. It's a song reference. But I feel like that's kind of what Spirit is pointing our attention towards with the Shaman card. The Shaman card is also a representation of fire and earth. And so for some reason, the vision that's coming to me right now in my mind's eye is the idea of somebody molding clay atop of a kiln, and how that marriage of fire and earth and even water a little bit. If you've ever been like clay making, you know it takes a little bit of water in that mix to really make it happen. But this marriage of elements between fire and earth, I feel like is so important because of the card that came before, where Spirit is reminding us how important spiritual practice is. I also feel like this Shaman of Discs is kind of showing you, or like kind of, it's like Spirit's kind of showing us what it is that we can look forward to, which is this steady, grounded state of existence, this ability to know and trust yourself, but then also the ability to have that forward motion, to take your vision long term, take it far. And that's the kind of work I think that Spirit is kind of pointing us to, that if you have an altar, if you work with different magical items, I would definitely support the idea of you all working with earth and fire this week. That might be 2 really important elementals that you might just want to pay attention to this week. And if you do like to work your magic, I'd say light some candles, ground yourself, do the age-old putting your feet on the grass. But this is the part of that advice that they don't tell you, is put your feet in the grass and ask your body to feel into Earth's heartbeat, which kind of sounds a little whatever, y'all can say what y'all want, but to me that's a very powerful grounding practice. I'm trying to think of other ways to work with earth, because I'm like, I mean, obviously working garden, getting your hands in the soil, go to a pottery class. I feel like that's really big. I might go to one, maybe not this week, but yeah, it just feels like that would be really important, even if it's in your visualization, for you to partner with elements like fire and elements like earth to really keep your own personal fire stoked for this week. So this is dope. This is really dope. I love it. I love it. I love it. So the next couple cards that we have, the next card that came up after the Shaman of Discs is the Eight of Discs. And so I feel like this is, I'm going to read what the card says because I'm already getting downloads. But I feel like this Eight of Discs, before I even read it, is picturing a bunch of different women working and weaving different shields and different tapestries for either their community or for themselves. It's a busy card in the sense that it's active. And so I feel like because the Eight of Discs is the next card following the Shaman of Discs, again, I feel like it's a roadmap, it's a directive where Spirit is like, and this is how you keep that the energy that you do cultivate, the aura that you do cultivate, and this is how this Eight of Discs card speaks to how you keep that flame tempered, how you keep that flame fed. So let's see what the Eight of Discs says. The Eight of Discs represents, is this the right one? Yes. Being on the path, an apprentice, an adept, having many skills and cooperation. So yeah, this is super encouraging. That's funny because I always read that part for the Nine of Discs, which is not out here, but it's interesting because now that meaning is getting like rearranged in my brain at this moment. So the Eight of Discs, I'll read it again, represents being on the path, being an apprentice, being an adept, having many skills, and cooperation. So again, this speaks to our spiritual cultivation, especially with it saying being on the path, being an apprentice and adept. This is to me about channeling the energy that you've cultivated in the Four of Swords and what you've seen yourself as in the Shaman of Discs card, and your ability to manipulate material reality to not only create what you want, but to heal yourself and to bring yourself into a place of wholeness means that you are able to not only like, oh my God, contribute to society, because I think it's problematic when people use healing tools to become a more effective like quote unquote worker, though I don't think it's unethical to do that. I think that when spiritual cultivation is only used to make you more effective in the workplace, it can be a little tricky. However, it seems like this Eight of Discs card is saying something different, where it's like, so after you cultivate that energy, and after you can really learn to trust yourself and see how able and readily able your skills can be used to heal your own self, to offer healing and medicine to your own community. The Eight of Discs speaks to getting out there and not only like offering your services, because I'm like, yeah, like if you want to start like a place for transmissions, spiritual offerings, healings, I think that that's in this reading too. But this also speaks to like anything that may have been standing in the way of your fullest self-expression, or anything that really signaled to you like, yeah, you know, I got some more work to do. Spirit is saying with this Eight of Discs card, first of all, you're on the path. Noticing subconscious patterns or noticing parts of yourself that you need to do more work on is not an L. It's in fact, for those of us on a spiritual path, we know that that's where the juice is. the moment there's a little resistance, there's a moment there's a little tension, it's like, at least for me, I'm like, okay, we going in, let's go. Turn off the lights, we lighten some incense, and I'm fucking meditating. And I get in it, okay? It gets deep. And so I feel like Spirit is saying, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope if you see yourself slip back. Don't lose hope. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on the path that you see yourself walking just because you have noticed one or two or maybe a couple of negative patterns. And you know what? I'm going to pull a clarifier card for the Five of Swords, because now I want more clarity on what this negative pattern is. But I'll get into the rest of the reading before I get there. So I just want to say thank y'all for listening. Oh my God. I kind of like recording the readings like this. I'm not going to lie. But I also really love the live containers. So whatever. Let's just keep going. So we have, after the Eight of Discs, the card that came out was the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups. This is my just dive in card. The Ace of Cups is a figure who is diving literally head first into what looks like a fountain that is surrounded by swans. And so the symbolism here is very potent. This person's naked. They have literally thrown any caution, child, any caution that was left behind, they have thrown it to the wind. And the caution is gone. And they have leapt first into waters that they have cultivated for themselves. In other words, this person is diving headfirst and having nothing but faith in who they are to be enough to take them where they want to go. And you know what's interesting too? So we have the Seven of Cups card as the first card, and then we have this Ace of Cups as the second to last. And it almost like, if I'll share the visuals of these cards in my Substack, liminalworlds.substack.com, if you want to see what the cards look like. But it looks like these two figures, the one from the Seven of Cups and the one in the Ace of Cups, are kind of in the same scene, meaning that they might be working with the same waters. So while the Seven of Cups figure is still in the dreaming and the ideating stage, they're still putting footwork to mouth work, this Ace of Cups is already is like on the diving board, ready to dive into life, ready to dive into a challenge, ready to dive into the next iteration of what's important for them, or what awaits them at their next leg of the journey. And I think that's really encouraging. And I think that this week might be a good week for us to investigate and, again, do some ritual work, do some internal work in order to investigate what negative patterns are keeping us from moving in life with full faith. And to understand that you're probably justified in whatever it is the negative pattern or the patterns are showing you. You know, it's part of life. And I also feel like saying that not only are these like seeing the patterns as part of life, the patterns that we get to see and that we get to work are also, again, this is coming from my seasoned spiritual lens, where I'm like, just work on it, bro. It just work on it. It's okay. It's fine. You can do some work around it. So like, for me, it feels like this card is speaking to how I feel like, honestly, yeah, it's about that. It's about trust. I want to say a lot more, but I won't. I think that it's about trust, and I think it's about faith, and I think it's about having trust and faith in your own self. So this week, all those tools that you want to use, all the tools that you have at hand, just use them. Just use them. That's what I'll say. Just use them. So the last card that came out is the High Priestess. So this is a mind. The High Priestess represents the mind and the logos that goes beyond logic and reason, and how the container of the High Priestess very rarely ever lets specific patterns linger. And also the High Priestess is not the same as the Empress, which I really love. I love both of those roles. I love both of those stories. I love both of those arcs for people as well. Like, I love when I see somebody in their Empress bag, and then I love them just like, I love to watch people get into their High Priestess bag, and I love that within myself too. I'm like, I feel like both divine feminine archetypes are very active within me, and I feel like just recently in my life I've learned to find a balance between embodying the Empress and when it's time to embody the High Priestess. And I feel like the High Priestess, this card honestly should come with a sword, because I feel like that's a bad bitch. I feel like the High Priestess is the energy ruling this pull, and with it being at the end of this pool, like, we had this really hopeful message coming from the Ace of Cups, and then the High Priestess is like, yeah, do that shit. Yeah, do that energy work. Yeah, get into those somatics. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, and then I might just be channeling some High Priestesses from my lineage, but it's like, are you waiting for somebody to save you? Are you waiting for somebody to show you that, like, life is worth living? Because you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't. Because not only is that loser energy, but it's also like, it's a fallacy. It's a fallacy. And I'm not saying that the world relies on us being independent and never needing anybody, but when it comes to that inner work, that onus should be your own. You know, it also reminds me of something that my mom says a lot, like, or used to say a lot when I was younger. And I used to, like, let her know, like, Mom, like, you know, I'm doing this thing, and, like, I know you're going to be so proud of me, because when I do this, I'm going to do this, and ka. And it's like, she would always be like, do that shit for yourself. You know, listen, I love my mother for that piece of advice. And she also has added her own wisdom to the front end of that statement and then the back end of that statement. And I don't need to get into all that. Yeah, I don't need to know all my business like that. But I do feel that way. Even myself, when I'm working with students or working with other people, I always try to scan not only my own self, but scan other people's intentions from a loving place to ensure that their goals and their visions are things that they're doing for themselves. So I feel like I'm getting also clarity on what this negative pattern might be, because it might have to do with deferring to other people. I feel like this pattern has to do with the act of deferring to other people as an authority in one's life. And the card that fell out to clarify what this negative pattern is the Seven of Wands. And so let's read this. Seven of Wands represents defending a position, explaining yourself, and a diversity of opinions. So yeah, it feels like the High Priestess here is saying that it's important for us to be clear. It's important for us to, I guess, ensure that our mental patterns and the things that we're working on, I guess, I feel like honestly the Seven of Wands, excuse me y'all, I feel like the Seven of Wands is actually clarifying. Like, if the High Priestess had the mic and we asked her, like, hey, can you clarify the Seven of Wands? She's speaking more specifically to what this negative pattern is. I thought it was going to be deferring, and it actually speaks to defending a position. So, like, let me pull one more card. Yeah, okay. The next card that came out is the Four of Discs, and I'll read that out of the booklet for transparency. Four of Discs. The Four of Discs represents gaining control of your doorway. Who comes in and who stays out. Ashe. Ashe. Yeah, so it feels like there's something here about a pattern that might perhaps represent a time in your life where you deferred to other people's opinions, you deferred to other people's insight in order to drive the boat for yourself. Maybe you defer to other people to help elucidate and make sense of what direction you were going. But this High Priestess, Seven of Wands, Four of Discs combination to me speaks to investigating that, maybe surrounding yourself with more protective energy. Especially, I keep feeling my third eye and my sacral keep getting like little zaps and tingles of energy as I've been doing this reading. So that might be helpful for some of y'all. And then the bottom of the deck, we have the Death card. So let's put an end to this mental pattern, this negative mental pattern. I feel like the only reason why it's also being highlighted as a negative mental pattern underneath the Death card is the Empress. I feel like the reason why, as I was saying, the reason why it's being highlighted as a negative pattern, I think because the onus of this reading, or there's a portal in this week somewhere where we can be met with an opportunity to refine the way that we trust ourselves, or to what degree or to which capacity we do trust ourselves. And I feel as though the opportunity to trust yourself really puts an end to what this Five of Swords and the Seven of Cups is kind of reading us for filth about, like letting us know. And also the Eight of Discs too, because I feel like the Seven of Cups and the Five of Swords, as I said earlier, is speaking to being like dream world, and then like maybe that could be the negative pattern, like over ideating about something. Sorry, I'm just laughing at myself. Over ideating about something and then deferring to other people, and then like honestly, let's be real, like that shit clogs up one's creative energy. That shit will have you dreaming for other people, like have you dreaming for other people's sake. And I feel like Spirit's like, no more. Death to that. Death to that. Death to that, so that you can be in your Empress bag. Oh, yes. It feels like that's what Spirit's saying. Like the analogy that I was saying earlier, like about how there's a time and place for the High Priestess, time and place for the Empress. Spirit's like, no, baby, you can have it all if you use your High Priestess capabilities and partner with the High Priestesses of your lineage in order to manifest what the Empress looks like to you, which to me, you know how earlier I was talking about what success looks like for you? This is what success looks like for me personally, is the Empress card. Right? A woman or a person who has mastered the art, or is constantly working to refine the art of receptivity, while also keeping in mind the principality of divine timing and right action. Right? So like, it's like the Empress card is the expression of the work that the High Priestess does. But the High Priestess, like I said, got the sword. She's the one who can kind of go beyond duality and put an end to certain things that are clogging up one's creative reservoir, which is really beautiful. And I feel like, I'm not really sure what the transits are for this week, y'all, but I do implore you to look at them. I actually know where some of them are in relation to like the cosmos, like the conjunctions and trines and oppositions of the planets in relation to the celestial sphere, so like the different stars, the different constellations, but I actually don't know more closely what the planetary horoscope is looking like this week, but I would suggest look at it. I would also suggest doing some ritual work. I would also suggest a little bit of softening, especially, that's the last thing I wanted to say before I pulled the oracle cards, is to think more closely about what it is within yourself that you are defending, what version of yourself that you are fighting for. I know a lot of us are. You know, the work to get justice for versions of yourself is what I would call soul recall. And so maybe it's that too. Maybe you have been in a chapter of your life, I know I have been, where I've been doing pretty intense soul recall work. And so I feel like some of that work might be coming to a close for some of y'all as well. So yeah, this speaks to this week really illuminating a new chapter. As long as those portals and the work that kind of drives you to this kind of outcome that I've laid out is done sincerely, I think that this week will be wildly successful in terms of helping us harmonize and revitalize those aspects of our soul that we have been calling back. It's also winter in the United States right now, so it makes a lot of sense if that's where people are right now. But yeah, I just keep hearing, like, in Kendrick Lamar's voice, meditate, 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 meditate. So make sure you're meditating this week, however you like to do that. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting and, like, you know, in silence, even though it does for me. A lot of people experience meditative bliss when they're showering, when they are walking their pets, when they are taking a walk in nature. So all of those activities, I think, would be highly, highly recommended by Spirit this week. And so I'm going to just put these cards away. Thank you all for tuning in. And let's see what these oracle cards have to say. We have the Peacekeeper, letting go of the need to be right, which really, really, really echoes what that Seven of Wands is saying. Release defensiveness, release the guards. I'm also hearing release the guardrails that you had to put up in your emotional body, in your field, in your psyche, when you didn't have the tools that you have now, so that those tools and the work and the muscle that you've built with them and the trust that you have with them can take up space where your fears were taking up space. So let's read this Peacekeeper card. And at the bottom of the deck, we had the Spirit Fox, so I'll also read him as well. Peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. Choose peace and happiness over the need to be right. Rather than trying to prove a point, save your energy for what's important. Yeah. Yo, that's the crux of this whole message. Energy management. Let me clap with my nails. Energy management. Management. I can't even talk. Rather than trying to prove a point, save your energy for what's important. The Peacekeeper is a wise Native woman who has been influenced by White Buffalo woman. She holds a peace pipe, which is emblematic of surrendering the need to fight and offering harmony instead. She is a soul who knows what it's like to feel under threat and to stand up for what she believes in and what is right. Her medicine helps you to take the higher road in every situation, even if you're under pressure to make a quick decision. It is a reminder that within your hands lies the power to make the right choice for all involved. You may be feeling on edge due to a stressful situation. There's a warrior within, however, that wants you to rise up, prove your point, and get the truth across. But at this moment, you're being reminded by ancestor wisdom that the truth will always be revealed in the end. It's more important at this time to avoid arguments or heated discussions where you know you'll be fighting a losing battle. There's much more power in choosing to move forward from a higher perspective. This will allow you to connect deeply to the guidance within and the intuition that will lead you towards the healing of the whole situation, along with any wounds it may have inflicted on you. Choose peace. You know that it is calling you. Ashe. And the card at the bottom of the deck is the Spirit Fox, which messages is to trust your talents in changing times. The message is to stay alert as change is in the air. The Spirit Fox features the writer of this deck's favorite animal of all time, the red fox, an amazingly resilient creature able to survive in urban environments or the freezing temperatures of the Arctic. Foxes know what it's like to be hunted. For centuries, they have been sought for their precious fur, when all they want is to survive. So the Spirit Fox can help us overcome the energies of adversity and unfair treatment. Also, as urban foxes hide in cities and go about their business in the darker hours, The fox offers the medicine of blending in. The energies around you are changing at this time, and although it may not always be comfortable, you are equipped with all that you need to survive this shift. You are being presented with opportunities to reach spaces you've never encountered before, and this can make you feel on edge, but be open to the shifts that are occurring, because they're really the answers to your prayers. The experience of being hunted or threatened is now behind you, and you are being invited to come out of your den and reveal your glory and your talents. Ashe. Call upon or partner with the Spirit Fox Medicine to help you be seen for who you are. Aww. And trust in your talents. Ooh, my heart. And trust in your talents in order to be the best you can be in these changing times. Wow. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Feel Tuning. Feel Tuning happens every Monday, except for this Monday, live in the Breathing Room Radio. I'm sorry, I'm still reeling, y'all. I cannot even do my proper sign off because I feel like these cards were so aligned for me. But I just want to thank y'all. If you need more information on how to join these containers live or access past containers, just message me on all social media. My name is the same. It's @IntrepidBodies on all social media accounts. So just holla at your girl. Thank you all so much again for the space, and have a blessed week. Bye.